Welcome to the Walking Talking mock exam and preparation for Paper 1 Language AQA exam, explorations in creative reading and writing. The full paper is 1 hour and 45 minutes. You are advised to spend 1 hour on the first 4 questions. This includes reading time. Question 5 assesses your descriptive and narrative writing skills. This part of the paper is worth 40 marks, which is half of the paper's total marks allocated. You must therefore make sure that you spend at least 45 minutes to answer this part of the question. Today we will focus specifically on how to respond to the reading section of the exam, questions 1 to 4. The exam will always remain in the same format. Question 1 assesses AO1 and will ask you to retrieve key information from the text. Question 2 assesses AO2 and will always be focused on the writer's use of language. Question 3 also assesses AO2 and will always focus on the writer's use of structure. Question 4 assesses AO4 and invites you to respond personally and critically to a whole text. So let's get started. Make sure that you have everything that you need before starting this revision session. I will attach a link to the insert in the description of the video. You should have a copy of the exam paper, including the insert, which is an extract from Captain Corelli's Mandolin. Highlighter pens will be useful to help you annotate around the extract as part of your planning process for the questions. But most importantly, make sure that you have a positive attitude and you are ready to learn. Before we look at the questions, take some time to read carefully through the extract of Captain Corelli's Mandolin. As you read this for the first time, try to interpret what is happening within the extract. Off you go. Okay, and if you need any more time to read through, please pause the video, but I will be moving on. So, okay, sorry. So now we should be ready to tackle those questions. Question 1. This question tests you on your skill in identifying and interpreting explicit and implicit information and ideas from AO1. It is a relatively straightforward question. It is asking you to simply list 4 things from lines 1 to 8 about the strongman, Magalo. You must only focus on lines 1 to 8. If you give any information from the rest of the source for this question, then you will not get any marks. You must only give information about Magalo. You may want to use your highlighter at this point to simply highlight or underline any information in this part of the text about Magalo. Once you have highlighted these sections, simply list 4 of those points on your answer paper. You don't have to copy them out verbatim, but if you do, that may not affect your mark. You have 4 minutes to answer this question. Off you go. How did you get on? There are at least 10 possible answers you could have made about Magalo. Hopefully you've managed to get full marks on this question. Let's move to question 2. This question is worth twice the marks of question 1. There are 8 marks available here. This question tests your skill in examining and commenting on the writer's use of language, their phrases, language features, language techniques, and sentence forms. You should show that you understand the writer's use of language, examine and analyse the effects of writers' language choices, select and use relevant quotations, and use appropriate subject terminology to discuss language use. You might, for example, Comment on the writer's use of adjectives or similes. These are both appropriate uses of subject terminology. Just like question 1, you are only having to respond to a specific part of the extract. This should help you to focus your response. Focusing only on lines 9 to 17, read carefully through the text and consider, how does the writer use language here to describe the character of Megalo Velisarios? As you read through this part of the text, highlight and underline any key words or phrases that have been used effectively to describe Megalo. Annotate around the extract any linguistic devices that you can find. Annotate any effects or inferences that these descriptions convey. Spend 2 minutes reading through and annotating in preparation for this question. Okay, if you are feeling confident in how to answer question 2 at the moment, then you do not have to watch the attached video. However, I will give you the option to watch this if you need some extra support. Okay, let's go back to those annotations that you were making. What ideas did you come up with? Here are some examples of language features that you may have spotted. Remember, question 2 will always ask you to comment on the writer's use of language. Here are some useful key terms to help you when writing about language. Hopefully, you're feeling quite confident now about what the examiner is wanting from you and how you are going to deliver these results to the examiner. Take 10 minutes to write your response to question 2. Make sure that each paragraph you write includes a clear point about how Megalo has been described to the reader, an embedded quotation, an explanation of any method used by the writer, your own inferences of what the language makes you think, feel, and imagine. This is the effect that the writer creates with their language. Aim for 3 developed paragraphs. You have 10 minutes to complete this question. Off you go. Now, hopefully you've finished a 3-paragraph response in the allotted time. I want you to read through the exemplar response with the examiner annotations. How well does your own response compare? Questions to ask yourself are: have you commented on Megalo? Have you identified key words and phrases from the text? Have you included quotations? Are they embedded? Have you used accurate terminology to comment on the writer's language? Have you explained the effects and developed your ideas throughout? Now for question 3. This question asks you to think about the whole source. The question wants you to explain: how has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? This question tests your skill in examining and commenting on the writer's use of structure. You should show that you understand the features of structure. Examine and analyse the effects of the writer's choice of structural features. Select and use relevant examples. Use appropriate subject terminology to discuss structure. Structural features can be at a whole text level, for example, beginnings, endings, and shifts in focus. At a paragraph level, for example, topic changes, simple sentence paragraphs. At a sentence level, for example, sentence lengths. Now again, there should be a video here. If you feel confident in how to answer question 3, please skip over this part. If you would like more support, the video will be attached. Here are some structural features you might want to consider when responding to question 3. Spend some time rereading through the source, but this time focus on your attention to the way the text has been structured. Make notes and highlight any important notes of interest about how the structure keeps you interested. Spend 3 minutes reading and annotating in preparation for this question. Off you go. Hopefully you're feeling quite confident now about what the examiner is wanting from you and how you're going to deliver those results. Take 10 minutes to write your response to question 3. Make sure that each paragraph you write includes a clear point about how the text has been structured, a specific reference or quotation which gives an example of the structural method, an explanation of what effect is created by the structural method used by the writer, your own inferences of what the structure makes you think, feel, imagine. This is the effect which the writer creates with their structure. Aim for 3 developed paragraphs. Off you go. This is an exemplar response to question 3. Read carefully through the student's response and the examiner's comments. How well does your own response compare? Okay, we're nearly there. Question 4 is really important as it's worth 20 marks. That's the same number of marks for questions 1, 2 and 3 combined, so it's really important that you plan carefully for this question and leave yourself enough time to do a really good job. This question tests your skills in evaluating text critically and supporting this with appropriate textual references. You should clearly evaluate the text. Offer examples from the text to explain your views. Explain the effect of writers' choices, and select relevant quotations to support your views. The question is asking you to respond to the following statement with your own views supported by examples of the text. A student, having read this section of the text, said, "The villagers are clearly entertained by the event. The writer really brings a scene to life for the reader. To what extent do you agree?" For the 3rd time. You are welcome to watch the video that will be attached, however, it is not on the slides. When you respond to question 4, you need to use evaluative phrases to comment on the writer's methods and to give your own personal views and argument. You may wish to use critical phrases here to help you structure your own response to this question. Read back over the source and consider what evidence is in the extract to suggest that the villagers are clearly entertained by the event. You may want to highlight or annotate the source in response to the bullet points which guide your response here. You have 3 minutes. Off you go. You may want to use this grid to help you plan and structure your ideas. Hopefully, you're feeling quite confident now about what the examiner is wanting from you and how you are going to deliver those results. Take 20 minutes to write your response to question 4. Make sure that each paragraph you write includes a personal response to the statement, a clear reason which argues for or against how the villagers are clearly entertained by the event, a quotation to support the reason you have given, a comment on the method used by the writer and its effect, a comment on how the scene has been brought to life for you as the reader. Aim for 4 developed paragraphs. This is an excerpt from an exemplar response to question 4. Read carefully through the student's response. How well does your own response compare? Well done! We have now completed the reading section of this exam. How confident are you now feeling about each question? Spend some time reflecting on the parts of the exam you may want to develop and revise further. Just in case you're feeling bored as well, Here is a question 5 task for you to practice in your own time. I will not give any guidance on how to complete the question 5 task, however, I am happy to mark anything that you might do. Thank you very much. I hope that you are feeling more confident about your Paper 1 exams now, and good luck for June the 4th.